Well, if you had Neal Brown getting a Power Five job on your bingo card, you hit bingo because I didn't see this coming. While he doesn't have the job yet, he's definitely in contention. What does that mean for us, though? Could we lose everyone?
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, beautiful people? My name is Mountaineer Paul. This is another edition of Locked On West Virginia, brought to you by FanDuel, guys. That's right. Download the app, guys. Get started with the big season in FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and get started with the 150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. I put my money on the Mountaineers tonight. I don't know about you, but them boys is feeling disrespected. Just saying. I'll try and go live after the game. I should be able to, no problem. But no promises, as I am a very early to bed kind of person. So depending on how the game goes, if it's a blowout or anything like that, I don't know. We'll just have to see. I just saw Rich Rod on the sidelines, by the way, for the game. I'm in a group chat and seen that pop up, but that's pretty cool. So he is on the sidelines evaluating what's going on, which is really important because I'm of the belief that what Signetti did in Indiana last year was mixed what was left on the roster that he wanted to keep with all his James Madison talent, and they went on this magical run. Similarly, I think Rich Rod has a path to that same type of success in year one, but we need to keep some players first. And there is a direct threat to that in North Carolina at Wake Forest. According to 247 Sports, Neal Brown is one of the headline candidates to replace Dave Clawson, who just kind of out of nowhere said, I'm done on Monday, and will take an advisory role within the athletic department. The Demon Deacons are the only Power 4 program with an opening at head coach, so they've identified 8 of the most likely candidates to succeed Clawson in Winston-Salem. Okay, so Kentucky defensive coordinator Brad White and former West Virginia head coach Neal Brown are the top candidates to watch for the Wake Forest job this offseason. White started linebacker for Wake Forest in 01 to 04 and has been a strong recruiter in Lexington. And Brown led the Mountaineers to a 9-win campaign in 2023 and recently stated his intentions to coach in 2025. I like how they went back to 2023 to point that out. So here's what it says about Neal Brown. West Virginia fired Neal Brown this offseason after following a 6-6 finish in the regular season, a season removed from the 9-4 campaign in 2023, in which he took home co-Big 12 Coach of the Year honors by Heartland College Sports. Gosh, they're reaching for this article. The offensive-minded coach led the Mountaineers to a top 5 rushing offense in 2023, but couldn't overcome poor quarterback play this fall. He went 37-35 in 6 seasons at West Virginia, led Troy to a 3-10 win campaigns from 15 to 18. I want to coach, Brown said after parting ways with WVU. I think there are a lot of positives from a personal experience and professionally. There are a lot of jobs open in leagues that you can go win at. And my anticipation is I will. So here's why Neal's an attractive candidate, guys. I'll just tell you straight up front. I don't think we're so close to the situation that we see the day-to-day stuff that drove us nuts, right? Whether it was at a press conference that nobody else cared about except us when he said the things that he said, or maybe it was the way he talked about it in just a regular Monday press conference before we played a team. Maybe it was the sideline demeanor. Maybe it was his play calling. Maybe it was the 6 years of no top 25. Maybe it was the roster mismanagement. Maybe it was the misallocation of funds and the way they spent money on the roster, even though there wasn't a ton. I will say that too. Neal never got anywhere close to the support Rich Rod's getting right now. Rich Rod's got almost $8 million to spend on a staff, which is incredible. And he's going to have much more than that to spend on the team itself. So, but anyways, why is Neal Brown a candidate for this job? Well, Wake Forest's expectations aren't West Virginia's expectations, right? Sorry, I'm just showing me going out of focus here. Wake Forest's expectations aren't West Virginia's expectations. 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins. You can live on at Wake Forest doing that. he's got a ready-made staff, really. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Chad Scott, Matt Moore, Andrew Jackson, and more, even Blaine Stewart, might want to go with him to Wake Forest, depending on who Rich Rod keeps and doesn't want to keep. All reports are that he may not keep anybody. And finally, the players, the biggest part of the equation for me. If you had me write it down, my number one pick to keep, probably going to be Jaheim White, right? But outside of that, it's like 4 offensive linemen. Like it's like Kyle Altuner, Xavier Bosley, Johnny Williams, Sully Weidman. Like that's the next few guys I think we should keep going into the Rich Rod era, because you can replace some skill talent. You can replace even a quarterback in this era. You can get some corners on defense, but the offensive and defensive lines are two things. There's too many guys in that position room to have to fill up. If you got to go get 5 offensive linemen out of the portal, you're in bad shape. You better have a lot of money. Same thing with defensive linemen, right? We have to figure out a way to keep the core offensive and defensive lines in this group to mix with Rich Rod's guys. There's no way, guys. There is absolutely zero chance. I don't care what anybody says that Rich Rod will be successful in year one if he's got to replace 60 guys. Think about what Dion did in year one in Colorado. They had the number 1 transfer portal class by a mile. It wasn't even a close second. They had several 5-star guys come in, and their first year was the 3-win season. You can't lose everybody. You have to keep some guys, and it's got to be a little bit slower turning over of the roster, right? Maybe you lose some guys this year, some guys next year, whatever. But if we lose everybody all at once, which is possible, especially if Neal gets this job, I worry about year one for Rich Rod. It could get bad. It's just really hard to win when you have to replace that many guys. Like Cignetti and Indiana had a great mix of Indiana players that stuck around. I feel like I'm going out of focus, guys. Sorry. For those of you who listen on podcast, I'm looking at my video. It looks like I'm going out of focus to me. Anyway, so my belief is that we have to keep at least the offensive and defensive line groups. And I think you can replace most of whatever else, doesn't leave. But it's going to be insane if Neal Brown gets us like this. Why doesn't, and Wake Forest fans, if you're watching this, which I'm sure a few of you will, because I put a lot of search engine optimization tools for Wake Forest to hit on the Google search. So you should be here if you're looking for this. I'll give you the pros and cons to Neal Brown. Neal Brown is a great program guy. He's a great culture builder within the program. He even, if you support him, he'll probably win at Wake Forest. If you give him enough money, he can win. Anybody can, right? West Virginia never can give him a lot of support financially, in my opinion. And I was looking at that yesterday. I think we had about $4 million to spend last year, maybe a little bit less on the football roster. Texas had $22 million. Rich Rod's probably going to get it quadruple that this year, right? So I think it's, while Neal never won enough in Morgantown, I think we'll all look back on this someday and say, you know what? He did a little bit more with less than we thought. Not saying what he was doing was acceptable, guys. Listen to me here. I'm saying we needed to move on. Not saying we didn't. But I think Neal didn't have a lot of financial support either, So it's like you can acknowledge both things are existing. So what he'll do at Wake Forest is he'll kind of make it work a little bit with what you got. I'm assuming that they don't have a lot of money there for football. And if you guys want average to every set, maybe every now and again you'll win 7 or 8, Neal's a great coach. If you give him a lot of support, he can get you 9 wins. But you're going to, and you make sure you schedule right, he'll get you there. He's not a great game manager. He does make mistakes every now and then. But as far as like on the field, he's a great X's and O's coach from an offensive standpoint in the beginning of games, especially. He's great at scripting out the first 10 or 15 plays. He's actually really good at that. But he loves to play a slow-paced, physical style of ball that's run-oriented, that eats clock, especially when he's got a bad defense. So it's kind of boring, but it does work when it works good. this could be bad for West Virginia. It really could. I don't know how many players would follow Neal, but if you're talking about Matt Moore, Jackson, and all the other staff members that may be out in the dust here, you're telling me they can all jump to a Power 4 opportunity? Look, that's a pretty dang good landing on your feet moment for Neal Brown and company here. And while I would cover every second of it, every game, and compare everything, I don't know that I want it to happen if we're going to lose like Kyle Altoona, Xavier Bosley, those kind of guys. Because look, Xavier Bosley was a freshman All-American for Rich Rodriguez at Jacksonville State just 2 years ago. He's probably our best lineman, guys, coming back next year. Kyle Altoona, if you go look on his dad's profile, there is a compilation of him pancaking 5-star defensive linemen that went places above him. He is very much comparable to Zach Frazier, in my opinion, and I think he will start at center next year. I predict it. If he stays, no matter who comes in, he'll start at center next year. That's how good I think he is. Outside of that, we just got to keep those two lines together, guys. That's just my opinion on this. I think Rich Rod can win eventually in West Virginia, but it won't be in year one if we lose everybody. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, quarterbacks in the portal. West Virginia's tied to a couple. But what about Nico? Who do I want? Who do you want? Let's talk about it. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by college football on TNT, guys. It's that time of the year, and college football playoffs is back, baby. The newly expanded 12-team format is guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting Carl Joseph action and high-flying Geno Smith excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of college football playoff begins December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show at TNT at 11 a.m. Eastern, leading into our first matchup with SMU, who's been basically gone since the 70s, against Penn State, who is a consistently third-place team in the Big Ten, against Clemson, who we kind of knocked them into a powerhouse after we stomped them 70-33, and then Texas, who we ran out of the Big 12, in my opinion. In a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern, don't miss a moment of the action and watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate Live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. Had to get a couple jokes in there. Hopefully you guys got a couple laughs. So obviously if you're just tuning in, Neal Brown is definitely a headline candidate. Some would say a finalist for the Wake Forest job that suddenly came open yesterday is Dave Clawson, who has been really steady there. I mean, he had a 10-win season, ACC. He was in the ACC championship game with them. I think they won it, or maybe they went up against Pitt and lost. I can't remember. But he's had a great run there, and it's going to be big shoes to fill whoever goes there next. But Neal Brown's in the running, and look, here's what I was thinking about: if they call Ren Baker and then Neal Brown interviews, it's going to be hard for him not to get that job, because Neal Brown's going to knock any interview straight up out of the park. We know that. And Ren Baker is going to sell that guy till he can't be sold anymore, because Ren Baker didn't want to fire him. We all know this. It was basically his hand was forced. Even Neal Brown went on record after the season and said he didn't want to make the change. So it's interesting. I'll say that. And if he gets this job, we can lose some people. Maybe we don't, and I'm wrong, but I thought it was something to talk about. Who's West Virginia connected to in the portal? Well, a couple names I'm hearing are both really good Big Ten players, right? Aaron Noland, Bo Pribula. Nico Markio is on the current roster, and I was having a conversation with somebody earlier. Hadn't really been given a big opportunity to show what he can do yet. What do you guys think? Should West Virginia branch out? Rich Rod, should he bring in his guy? Maybe it's an Aaron Noland. Maybe it's a Bo Pribula, and run his offense with one of those, or at least have a battle. Or should Nico be given the keys? And if that's the case, why isn't Rich Rod telling him to bench Garrett Green tonight? Sorry, Garrett, it's your last game, but if I'm Rich Rod and I want to see Nico in person, I'm giving Chad Scott a package of run option plays, and I want to see Nico run those, and I want to see it tonight. right? That's my opinion. Like, yeah, Chad Scott, your call. You're here tonight, but listen, this is Rich Rod's program, and if what's more important tonight, getting a win for the guys that are playing on our uniform maybe for the last time, or the future? It's a tough question. Not saying either answer is right. I think these guys deserve to be honored on the way out, absolutely. But this isn't a, in my opinion, we're a 6-6 team, and a Frisco Bowl win would be great. But I want Rich Rod to get a full evaluation of the players he wants to see, and he's there on the sidelines, right? So give Nico some run option plays, let him run them, and see if Rich Rod can get a decent vantage point of whether he thinks he can do it or not. I mean, sure, there's tape to look at and all that, but you can actually install a quick couple read option plays to see how Nico looks. I don't know, something to think about. Other than that, I think you can't go wrong with either Bo Pribula or Aaron Oland. But I'll say this. Aaron Oland has Michael Penix kind of upside. If you haven't seen his tape yet, I would highly suggest going to do it. This kid he's fast. He's the 4.5, 4.4. Wouldn't say he's Pat White, but he is definitely fast enough to run that spread option and get you for 20, 30, 40 yards sometimes. He's definitely going to dual threat, but he's more of a passer. So it'd be interesting to see how he would run into Richard offense as to where Pribula is more of a runner, in my opinion. He can throw it as well. Just haven't seen him do it as much, and he's fast. There could be more guys that Rich Rod eventually looks at, but I think these two guys for now have been mentioned with WVU by certain people. Barstool guy had West Virginia on Pribula watch earlier, and then I have confirmed independently that Aaron Noland, in West Virginia, there is some interest there. I don't know to what level, but I know that there has been contact made, and that even Rich Rod follows Aaron Noland on social media. So that should tell you something in and of itself. And yes, it's at Real Coach Rich Rods. It's not the other one. So, I mean, he's not just going to follow a guy for nothing, right? So there's some interest. Let me get a drink and do here. Do you think I wonder why Dana Holgerson never got a Red Bull contract or like a promotion, a sponsor? That's the word. Because I drink a lot of Dew on camera. I mean, can I not get a Mountain Dew sponsor here? Come on. So somebody in the comments says no interference from Rich Rod. I believe Chad Asada is going to call the plays for both quarterbacks. Oh, yeah, I didn't say that was going to happen. I said that's if it was up to me, this is what I would do. If I were Rich Rod, I would say, listen, Chad, it's your game, but give me a few plays for Nico to see if I like him. I'm trying to evaluate him, obviously. It's just a thought. I mean, there's tape to evaluate, but not a lot on Nico, right? So, and when Neal did have Nico, I felt like he didn't really call plays that helped Nico. I don't know. It's just my opinion. I mean, I'm just a guy, but I just think tonight's more about the evaluation than anything else as a fan for me, because I'm so focused on the future now that let's just call it what it is, guys. This bowl game's important to us, but it's more important to the players, right? I want to see these guys go out on a win, but I'm more worried about the future of the program at this point. I just think it just feels that way. Rich Rod's got the job. We're looking at portal aspects. We're in this bowl game where we're 6-6. I don't know. The staff's like in flux. I mean, is anybody living and dying on this game tonight? Do I sound bad by saying that? I don't know. It's not that I'm not up for it. It's just like, it's not like, okay, like if Neal was the coach, I'm thinking, okay, we got to get some guys some playing time. We got to get some momentum going into next year. So we need to win this game. Like if Neal's here, that's the way I'm thinking. 7 wins is better. Like I would make all these different cases. 7's way better than 6. And all that. And here we are in a situation where the coach is gone. Another coach that's taken over is on the sidelines. all the staff members from the previous coach is probably gone, and he's being overseen by Rich Rod. And it feels like the players are playing one last game for those coaches and not the new coaches. So I don't know. I mean, I want to see us win the game and everything, but I've got a mighty hefty eye on the future. That's all I'm saying. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, guys, I'll give you my final thoughts and make a prediction on tonight's game. Stick around for that. It's Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Prize Picks, guys. That's right, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, which is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Appreciate you for picking it. Here's what you need to do. Make your holidays bigger and better with Prize Picks, guys. The best place to get real money while watching your favorite sports. You can win up to 1,000 times your money, like we said. But you need to join now because this holiday season is giving away 2 free Prize Picks in December, guys. Free picks, I'm sorry. And they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pixmas with a P. Pretty good. Download the app today. Use code LOCKDOWNCollege and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's download the app. Locked On College is the code you'll use. You'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Please do that, guys. At Prize Picks, run your game. And this episode is also going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. Guys, right now on FanDuel, it's America's #1 sports book. Customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. That's if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play all in one place on the same page you place your bets, making it very convenient. Go to FanDuel.com today to get started. And you'll get started with the $150 in bonus bets with that first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, let's recap really quick. Neal Brown is a highly sought-after candidate, apparently, to Wake Forest. I wouldn't call him a finalist just yet, but he's definitely a headliner. Probably in the running, from what I'm told. I got a hold of a Wake Forest guy, and they're looking at him. And I think there are ramifications for that if he gets the job. It's one thing if Neal gets a job at any name a place, Troy again. Let's say he goes back to Troy, or let's say he would have went to Charlotte, or UMass. Well, look, our guys probably ain't going to follow him there, right? Gene White's not going to go to UMass. Wake Forest is a different story. It's the ACC. It's a Power 4 conference school. Obviously, that was tongue in cheek, David. Obviously, I didn't mean that. He's not actually sought after. It was a joke. Wake Forest wants him though. So I think you can convince these guys, especially if Wake Forest has the money, to go get a Jaheim White, to go get a Huddy Tuddy, to go get a Nico, or maybe even a Ryder Burton. I don't know. On guys on defense. I mean, you can see a few of these guys. I mean, important pieces. Like I said, give me Xavier Bosley, give me Kyle Altuner, give me Johnny Williams, give me Sully Weidman, give me Huddy, give me Traylon Ray, give me Jaheim White, C.J. Donaldson. You get Nico, and give me some guys on defense. I'm not even going to be picky. Make them on the defensive line, though. And then everybody else can kind of go. I'm sure there are other guys I've forgotten about. Oh, I'm sorry. Obviously, there are other players that I think would be really good. Trying to think of a couple. Za would be good to keep. A couple others. But yeah, at the end of the day, guys, so that's scary thinking about all these losses we could have because, like I said, Colorado had the number one transfer portal class 2 years ago by a country mile with Dion, and they still only won 3 games in year one. So Rich Rod can't replace 60 guys. Nobody can. It's just not possible to win big in year one like that. So if we want to see results in year one, we need a lot of these guys to stick around, be ingratiated into the culture of Rich Rod, and so hopefully he just only has to go out and get like 20 guys or something like that. I feel like I keep going out of focus. Anyway, that's all I've got on that, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Also, Nico Marchiol is could be the quarterback for West Virginia next year, but I was talking about Aaron Noland and Bo Pribula as also being options. Might want to look at that too. Day Farmer, absolutely another name. There are other names. Just naming a few. So, obviously, Aaron Noland, Bo Pribula have been mentioned alongside West Virginia with huge names for us. Not saying they wouldn't be. Let's hope that falls into place as well. I just want Rich Rod to get the guys he thinks should be in place and not be limited by no resources or anything like Neal was. Like I said, at the end of the day, guys, Neal Brown was limited by his lack of resources, whether it was because he won or didn't win. He didn't get the support that Rich Rod's getting. So if he gets it somewhere else, I think he can win. I do. Neal just needs a little bit more support than maybe some other coaches do. That's just the way it is. I don't think they did a good job evaluating, and it came back to bite them. Plus, I think, Shane Lyons hurt Neal by not getting on the NIL train a little bit sooner as well. Certainly, Neal Brown buried himself. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying there were some things along the way, too, that also hurt him. All right, guys, that's really all I got. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't do me a favor, though. Like the video, hit that subscribe button while you're here, and share this out with your other viewers. I don't need super chats. I don't need any money, anything like that. Just share the video, like it, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me I'm stupid, whatever. Even the ones that tell me I'm fat, at least at least you're communicating with it. The algorithm thinks you're communicating with it. So obviously I'm kidding there. Let's watch this game tonight. Watch the Mountaineers whoop. Oh, that's what I was going to do. It almost slipped my mind. So tonight, I think West Virginia versus Memphis. So obviously that's a really good Memphis team. That quarterback's been there forever and ever. He's got like 30,000 career yards. But I think they're going to run to a West Virginia buzzsaw tonight. I think guys like Wyatt Milam and Garrett Green are been disrespected all week, especially on Pat McAfee's show. And I'm going to have to fix this camera when I get done, guys. Sorry. Especially on Pat McAfee's show, right? Pat McAfee said something today that really kind of irked me a little bit. He said none of them can stay. They can all go. I don't think any of them can handle Rich Rod's this, that, and the other. And I literally love Pat McAfee. But, man, he's just a little too harsh on the players on roster, Yeah, that's what Chad Scott said, Tosh, but Wyatt's going to have a say in that. That's just my opinion. You're going to tell Wyatt he can't play in his last game? Yeah, good luck. I mean, he might not play every snap, but he's going to play. He's going to play. We'll see. At the end of the day, guys, I love our team coming into next year. We're going to be good. Again, I can feel it. Let's say goodbye to this era and wish these players well. And whoever enters the portal, don't give them any shit. Just wish them well and understand why they're doing it. All right? Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, guys. For your second or third listens, guys, go Locked On Big 12. Drake Toll leads the conversation in conference realignment news and pulls no punches when it comes to the Big 12. YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, that's where you find it. It's where you can find me. I am also on podcast, by the way, on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On West Virginia. I am Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This episode is over, and I'm out.